Wednesday, huh? Already? Cool. Starting the day off, and the first notification is there's no audio on Twitch again. Yeah, Twitch seems to be, of all the platforms we stream to, Twitch seems to be the big bitch. For whatever reason, it just doesn't connect. But hey, good morning to Facebook, good morning to YouTube, good morning to Twitter, good morning to those listening on the audio streams, wherever else, on the BTR app, etc. Let me just say this about that. Holy smokes. I've been viewed 48 times already on Twitter. How the hell does that happen? I'm still trying to understand all this technology. Meanwhile, I'm fighting the fact that one of my headphones keeps cutting in and out. Got me thinking, or it reminds me of what I was thinking about this morning. Got into a conversation last night about growing up and some of the stuff that, we had in our house and other people didn't. We were that house that never had a microwave. For the longest time, we didn't have a microwave. We had a color TV, though. That was pretty cool. A lot of my friends still rocking the black and white back then. But we had a color TV, no microwave. Oh, yeah, no, we had to make popcorn the old-fashioned way. I got thinking about that this morning. I was toasting a bagel, and I'm standing there tapping my toes, right? Like, very Homer Simpson, like, oh, come on, hurry up. And I got thinking, there's, like, watch for me on Dragon's Den someday, I swear. That's the thing I want to solve. Can we not have, like, the toaster equivalent of a microwave? Maybe that already exists. I don't know. But that's what I want. Bagel in, hit it for like 8 seconds. I'm done. Butter on that, and away you go. You know what I need? Do you watch the show Tacoma FD? It's on the Comedy Network. I was watching it last night. You know what? It's one of those shows that if you go by the promos, no thanks. Not interested in that at all. At all. Nothing. Whatever promos they did, not compelling. But I ended up a few weeks ago actually watching a couple of episodes and just found myself laughing out loud. Loved it. Last night, no exception. It's on at like 10:30 on a Tuesday. It's too bad because it's completely buried in the schedule. But last night's episode, they were introducing new technology into the fire department that they work at because they were missing, they were missing calls, or they were getting confused by their maps in the trucks or the GPS. There's got to be a better way. And amongst the new technology that they were introduced to was this robot. They would just go around. It was like a rolling, talking snack machine. There you go. That's what I want. Nuked bagels. But yeah, I think if you can solve that issue for us, because this standing around waiting 60 seconds for a bagel, who's got time for that? I don't have time for that anymore. Come on, man. 60 seconds? You know what I could be doing with that time? Posting more bad dad jokes on Facebook. That's what I could be doing with that time. Let's see what's going on here. Forecast certainly has been back and forth the last little while. In for a good day today here in the nation's capital. Should get up to 12. Nice. Dry out some of the leaves on the deck. I can actually get out there with the blower and blow them off. I'm still waiting for, the tree in the front yard. All the leaves are gone from that. Gone. Cleaned up. Bagged weeks ago. Done. Thank you very much. The backyard, I'm still waiting for the leaves to fall. Any day now. But yeah, I got to get that done. Today may be the day, or maybe Friday, or maybe not. So yeah, sunshine 12 today, down to 1 tonight. Tomorrow, overcast and 9. Friday, sunshine 13. Looks like a wet weekend ahead. Down to 1 tonight. Oh my gosh. Actually, that reminds me of another technological advancement I would like to have. It was chilly yesterday and damp. So on go the seat heats in the truck and the heater. What I wouldn't give to have that same level of warmth available to me in my home. You know what I'm talking about, right? There is just something about the heat systems that are available in vehicles now. It's unbelievably cozy. It just absolutely surrounds you. And yeah, I know I can put a heated blanket on. It's not the same. I can jack the furnace. It's not the same. What is it about the heat in the vehicle? I just want to like crash in there for like the whole winter. It's so damn cozy. Give me that. Give me that. Good morning, Jennifer. Jennifer's agreeing with me. Yay, somebody's agreeing with me. This is called Let Me Just Say This About That. Got some guests coming up for you, by the way, in the not-too-distant future. Camille from No Forks Given, which started out as my favorite food truck. Right around the corner from me here, they were at like Hunt Club and Bank Street when they initially started, and they became so wildly successful. They've moved their operations down around Ottawa U. Full-fledged restaurant now, licensed the whole 9 yards. In fact, we'll be live on location there this Saturday. I'm staying up way past my bedtime on Saturday. Like, I'm doing a live on location from 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. I am way too old to be doing that. And you know what? I can't get this out of my head. So we all know what happened with the Panda game a little while ago. And if you don't know what the Panda game is, clearly you are not a sports fan, but that's fine. Okay, the Panda game is a traditional game between our two major universities in this city. Because, of course, there is St. Paul's, there's CEGEP as well. But Carleton and Ottawa U, they take on each other once a year, typically. And I don't know how it started that they play for a Panda, but Panda basically is the trophy that they play for. And things got a little out of control after the last Panda game a couple of weeks ago, kind of our homecoming, if you will. And, well, cars got overturned, people got beaten up, residents around Ottawa U's campus felt threatened, say that there were people peeing on their lawns, peeing on their front doors, upchucking, just gross, just disgusting. And then the police, of course, are saying, yeah, we didn't quite handle that properly. We're looking into it. Well, here's their chance. Tomorrow, Ottawa U and Carleton U face off against each other again at TD Place. And, well, if you read the media reports, of course, they raise concerns. Here we go again. So what happens after that game tomorrow? Oh, it's dawned on me. I'm going to put myself down around Ottawa U's campus on Saturday. I mean, could we? I mean, and I put on a good party. I don't mean to brag, but I put on a good party. Combined forces with No Forks Given, it's going to be a great party. Will there be riots? Will we be that successful? I don't know. It's so unpredictable. But what do you want to have? Like, what do you want to see happen? What's like if you were the police chief? What would you be doing right now? What would you be doing right now? Knowing that the Ravens and the GGs play again tomorrow. I'd be curious to hear from you on that. 613-604-6464 is the number. You can call in. Absolutely. In fact, let me just, you can join us by video too. Let's get the link into, there you go. Whether you're watching on Twitch, on Twitter, on Facebook, wherever you're watching, the link is there now. If you want to join me by video, you can certainly pop in. You'll end up in a little guest room. You can hang out there for a little bit until I admit you. So yes, enjoy the green room. Have all the M&Ms you'd like. Russ says if he was the police chief, he'd be ordering barf bags. No need for barf bags, Russ. No, you just find somebody's lawn or their front porch and you just barf on that. Come on. Think outside the box, man. Think like a university student thinks. In fact, barf and pee on a car and then get so upset about that you set the car on fire. And you take stuff off the car. And yeah. And then when the owner comes out to defend the car that you puked on, peed on, and are taking apart, beat the owner up. I want to be consequence-free. Speaking of upcoming guests, I've reached out to Alan Doyle's people. He's coming back to town. A rescheduled show. He was supposed to be doing a show at the NAC just before COVID hit. It's been rescheduled for the 17th of November. Hoping to have him on the show in the next little while. But you are invited to the show anytime. Your thoughts on some of the stuff we're putting out there right now. 613-604-6464 or click the linkity-dink-dink that we've just put in our comment section for you, and you can come on during video. A couple of other things that have caught my attention the last little while. Kat Von D, internationally renowned tattoo artist, has had a tattoo shop in LA now for some time. She's closing up shop at the end of this month. Done with it. She and her husband and family, I guess, have found a place, I want to say Idaho. Anyway, they're infinitely happier there. They're kind of done with the whole LA thing. Closing up shop. She says she could keep it open, but it wouldn't feel the same if she wasn't there running the day-to-day operations. I get that. And did you know this about Kat Von D? I didn't know she was a singer. She got a band. I had no idea. But man, there's a lot of shows on TV now about tattoos and ink. And I gotta admit, I have no ink. I am inkless. Got a couple of piercings, but like with piercings, like I can take my earrings in or out. I can change them up. It's different every day. My anxiety, I just know, like if I put a watch on or a ring on, after an hour or so, I get like, oh my God, I got to change it up. I can't stand it. I'm mesmerized by tattoos. I'm fascinated by it. And some of the work that is done is gorgeous. Tell me about your tattoo. I'd love to hear the story because every piece of ink that somebody puts on their body has got a story behind it. Not always a good story. But a story nonetheless. Holly suggests that I try henna for a couple of weeks. See if I like it in the mirror. See, Holly, this is the thing. I know I won't. Well, I know. Sorry, that's not true. I know I will fall in love with it, but I'll get bored of it. I'll want to change it. And I'm not an Etch-a-Sketch. I mean, I'm more of an Itch-a-Sketch. See what I did there? Lick 'em, stick 'em, she says. See how I go? Just go back to my 6-year-old self. Whatever comes out of like a Bazooka Joe. Remember that? You just run it under tap water and you stick it on. Look, Mom, I got a tattoo. Right up there with, look, Mom, I'm smoking, with Popeye cigarettes. Or what are they called now? Popeye candy sticks. Oh yeah, kid, you're real badass. Hanging out in the park. And you've got your Popeye candy stick. Yeah. BTR temporary tattoos. That'd be fun. Oh my God. We could have like a Lowell Green temporary tattoo. Oh, I love that idea. MC Mario temporary tattoo, a Brian Kelly one. Rusty, are you up for us doing a tattoo for you? There you go, a little oldies rule. Rusty hosts our Good Time Oldies show, which you're going to hear today at noon. But yeah, I'd love to hear about your ink. If you've got a story about your ink, by all means, 613-604-6464. You can also post your comment in whatever platform you're watching right now. Oh, I love that, Julie. She says, yes, we'll call it the Flying Fox Fart Tattoo. I tried to get the story from Lowell on like this flying fox fart sentence that he uses. Where did that come from? And he says it's just something that literally, like, it just came out of his mouth one day, and it's just kind of become a thing. Deborah says the 2 tattoos I got, and only ones, were for my son who was killed by an impaired driver. Oh, Deborah. Oh, God, I want to hug you. And she says, I got a note he wrote to me tattooed on my foot, and I love it. I guess so. Wow. Oh, Deborah, thanks for sharing that. That's awful, but also very, very sweet at the same time. See, every ink, every bit of ink has got a story to it. I love the idea. I really do. But yeah, Kat Von D closing down her tattoo shop, which is, like if I were to get a tattoo, I think I would probably, if I was in Los Angeles, I would probably seek out a Kat Von D or one of the people you see on, what's the show, Ink Masters on Paramount Network. I should know their names because Ryan Ashley, and there are two other women, Ink Angels or whatever. I would probably I would want to have. Yeah, I went to a celebrity tattooist and got this done. That would be my story. Although there are lots of really talented tattoo artists, not just here in Ottawa, but elsewhere too. So yeah, tell us about some of your ink. I'd love to hear about that. Again, 613-604-6464. The number is on your screen. You can post your comments on Facebook, on Twitch, on YouTube, on Donner, on Blitzen, and etc. And we'll little too early for that. Yeah. And we can have that conversation. Also, did you read about this? I don't know how I don't know how I feel about the whole electric car thing. I mean, I understand where we're going with it. It all seems too fast, too soon. My brother and his family just bought an electric car. And I'm anxious to hear about it because all I'm hearing so far is, we bought the car and, there's a charging station at the mall, so we can charge it up there. You can basically plug it into your electrical outlet at home, kind of like you do with your block heater, but that takes a lot longer because you should actually ideally spend the $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 on some wall-mounted power converter. Well, that doesn't seem economically, doesn't make economic sense to me. I bought a car and now I got to spend another $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 on a charger to charge the darn thing. Okay. Anyway, nonetheless, that seems to be the way we're going. Yep. So they charge it at the mall, but anything I've read about it, it's okay, so if I wanted to take a trip, let's say to New Brunswick, which we do as often as we can because we've got family there. And it's about 11 and a half, 12 hours. Well, if I had an all-electric vehicle, a hybrid would get me there. Certainly. I think I understand hybrid more than I understand electric. Electric will get me about, 3-4 hours? And then I got to stop and charge for 3-4 hours? And then I could drive another 3-4. It doesn't make sense to me. Well, if you're going to be renting a car in the next little while, if you're going to be renting from Hertz, you could very well be renting a Tesla. Hertz has just signed a deal with Tesla to buy 100,000 Teslas. Again, for ripping around the city, I think that's awesome. But if you're heading to Toronto for the weekend or whatever else, I mean, oh my. I don't know how I feel about that. More tattoo conversation. Jennifer, good morning. Welcome to Let Me Just Say This About That. And you're saying this about tattoos. She says her tattoo is in memory of her parents. It's an old school wooden cross with mom and dad written on the cross. See? That's awesome. I would love to do that. But again, I would find myself looking at it, Jennifer, and I'd be like, oh, I want to change this. I want to change that. I would like it in purple today, please. And then, the minute it's purple, I'll be looking at it going, maybe orange. Yeah. And then when it's orange, I'd be like, oh, you know what? Green. That should be green. That would be awesome. Julie says her tattoo is her guardian fairy. She watches over me. I want to get another on my leg. Of course, it will be dance related. This is why she's called Jules the Dancer. Have to wait until I feel better to get it. There you go. See? I mean, yeah. Knowing me, I would probably, well, I'm in radio, so I'm going to get a microphone. Again, and I would love the experience, and I would appreciate the artwork that went into it, but I'd be looking at it going, oh, why did you do that? That's cliche. And I would just drive myself crazy with that. Lizzie, I do not think our climate in our area is great for battery-operated vehicles. Cold weakens the battery life/strength. Just my thoughts. That comes up every single time we seem to have the conversation about electric vehicles. And you know what, Lizzie? It's hard to argue with you on that because just look at the phone that you probably carry in your pocket. Like my traditionally iPhones in the wintertime, like the battery goes from 100% to like 50% the minute I walk outside and just shovel my driveway and get back in the house. Got to recharge the phone again. And yeah, of course, we've made a huge investment in electric buses going forward. Oh my God. Untested, by the way. We got into this conversation months ago. Like compared to the city of Regina leased one electric bus. One. Let's test this out. They leased it. Ottawa, let's go and buy, what did we buy, a dozen? Something like that. Untested. Okay. We'll get back to OC Transpo in a sec. There's an LRT update. Back to Deborah, who says, I'm from Nova Scotia. My other son is a mechanical engineer and graduated from Dalhousie University with a 97 average. He invented the first hybrid tricycle in Canada. Deborah, you're awesome. You've got some cool stories. Look it up on YouTube. Cohen Poirier is his name. Awesome 1-minute watch. He came second in Canada. Deborah, I'm glad you're here. You're fascinating. That's awesome. I will look that up. Again, you are looking for, what's his name? There, Cohen Poirier. I have the wrong glasses on. Still trying to get used to. By the way, Spinowin Opticians, Bank and Hunt Club. Been doing business with them for well over 20 years now. Can't say enough good things about Mark Spinowin and his gang. There we go. Got there. But this is my first time having a different set of glasses for every day and a pair of glasses for in the studio for reading the computer screen. Much, much better. Cohen Poirier, hybrid tricycle. There you go. Craig says, after my mother passed, my daughter had her grandmother's signature tattooed on the side of her foot. Oh, I love that, Craig. See, and I can relate to that because my grandparents on my dad's side were in Winnipeg. And I only met them once in my life, but I would always get letters at Christmas. And my grandmother, Rita Milkey, had very distinctive handwriting. And every year when I get Christmas cards now from my mother-in-law and her sister, their handwriting is very reminiscent of that of my grandmother. So I get that. Yeah, that's a unique thing that, yeah, it's nice to hang on to that. Russ says, tattoo with invisible ink. You can be hip and not worried about the negative problems. You know what? Get on Dragon's Den with that. That's funny. Chrissy's not a fan of electric cars, she says. My brother has an electric Ford Mustang, she adds. Already he has problems with some parts, and it's been a month waiting to hear from Ford. Ugh. But I mean, that could be any car manufacturer too. But yeah, I'm fascinated by the fact that, yeah, I got to go to the mall and charge my car for a little bit. My workplace is putting one in. A tattoo that's only visible with infrared light or black light, James. No, that's scary. Scanning the black light over my arm. Look at my tattoo. God knows what else it finds in the room. No, thank you. No, thank you. Oh, Chrissy says, there's a dig. There's a dig. Keep in mind, Chrissy's from Hamilton, so I suspect she may have some loyalties, but she says when the Toronto Maple Leafs win a Stanley Cup, I will get a tattoo. There you go. So yes, speaking of OC Transpo, did you read this headline? And it's not just one outlet's headline. It seems to be CFRA's got it, 1310's on board with it, the Sun, the Citizen, pretty much anything you read. LRT's return to service achievable by mid-December. We think we can. 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 Return to service. On time and on budget. Wasn't that what we heard with the whole lead up to the launch of the LRT? And it wasn't on time. And it's certainly not on budget. Ken says they said November 29th last night on the news. I've seen one report saying November 29th. Everything else is saying mid-December. It's achievable by mid-December. They're not saying They're not saying they'll have the whole thing fixed, but a return to service in some way, shape, or form. Like what? We're going from Blair Station to Ottawa U and back again. Ooh, good times. Yeah, I mean, we again, here we are, this untested thing, this whole new thing, and Ottawa bought into it. This is what scares me about this talk about these electric buses. They are untested, just as was articulated moments ago. Like, how do the batteries do in this climate? I don't know. How could we know? They have not tested it. So we've bought into, like I said, a dozen or so buses. Might be more, might be less. But for the sake of argument, as a significant number of electric OC transpos. We have, the original O train, which, look, I'm one of many people who have often laughed at it. It's a train to nowhere, basically. Goes from like South Keys Station or Greenboro Station. I never knew. They're attached to the same plaza. 2 stops, same plaza, different names. I don't know which one's which. You know what I'm talking about, though. It goes from the Walmart. I still call it the Blockbuster. It's now like a burrito place, Mucho Burrito, I think. But it goes from there to where? Carlton U, Herdman, and then back again. Laugh at that all you want. I mean, we at least, put it on a smaller scale and tested it. We know what we've got with that system. Why did we decide to change it up? Why are we running 2 different train systems? I don't get it. I just, and what I don't get above and beyond that is, where's the anger? And you know what? We're probably not seeing the same kind of anger right now because the public service, by and large, y'all are working from home. So you're not doing the regular 9 to 5 commute, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you were, oh my God, can you imagine the yelling and screaming? I mean, it would be to the point I might actually get calls on this show. That could actually be a thing. Stephanie says it's like the episode of The Simpsons, the monorail. But you know what? I never understood this either. Like, I've been to Vegas many times. And there are a number of hotel properties. Caesars is one of them. I think MGM, Treasure Island, I think might be on there as well, or as they call it now, TI. But anyway, there are 3, maybe 4 hotels. And by the way, when you're talking about hotels in Vegas, you're not talking about like Chateau Laurier to the west, and you're talking like Chateau Laurier to 24 Sussex. That's the distance between hotel properties. Okay, it's significant. But they run a monorail service, which is really, it's fun to be on. It's a great little system. And what I love about it is like the posts that hold this whole thing up, you can literally wrap your arms around the post. It really does not take up a lot of space. And when we were talking about what system we would put in Ottawa, they kept saying, oh, a monorail doesn't make sense here. We couldn't accommodate it. And I just, it's been a head scratcher for me ever since. I don't understand why they say that. To me, if you're going to run trains, and look, we're a growing city, I think we do need some sort of upgraded system. But a system like buses, trains, etc., really needs to run on a grid. Look at Edmonton. You know, how it's all laid out. You know, like odd numbers run east-west, even numbers north-south, or vice versa. But it's a very well-planned, laid-out grid. We're all willy-nilly, and maybe it's, some of it's by virtue of our geography. There's only so far north we can go in this city, right? Because you end up with the Ottawa River. But east-west... So, I mean, it seems to me like right down the middle of the Queensway, they could have installed these monorail posts. I don't think they would have taken up that much more room than, let's say, the light standards that are there now. Run an east-west monorail line. Run another east-west monorail line, maybe along Baseline, another one along Hunt Club. The Parkway, currently called the Sir John A. Macdonald Parkway, but I still call it the Ottawa River Parkway. If the NCC would allow us in our own city to actually do things that we would want to do. But there's your grid. Have trains running east-west along, 3-4 routes, and then the north-south fed by buses. I don't know. Call me crazy. No, let's dig tunnels and zig and zag and up hills and wee, and I don't know. It makes, yeah. Ken says can't run anything along the Parkway. NCC would get in the way of that. They absolutely would. And you know, I bumped into a guy at the dog park the other day. We got into this conversation, and it was so great because he volunteered it. And it's something that I have long said. We are a city built on the Ottawa River, the Gatineau River, the Rideau River. We have a canal running right through the heart of us. To the west, we've got the Mississippi. We have no waterfront developed. Does that not seem criminal to you almost? Like the big attraction, like in Halifax. Oh my God, the waterfront development in Halifax. It's everything. It's fantastic. Kingston, Brockville, Toronto, Vancouver, Victoria. And in Ottawa, the only time you could you name, okay, here, feel free to text me, feel free to post this in our timeline, whether you're on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, etc. Can you name 5 restaurants? 5. Can you name 5 restaurants that would sit on waterfront property within the city of Ottawa? 5. Like, why do we not have... Look, I understand we don't want to completely overwhelm our shorelines, etc. But we can't have, like, a restaurant row or some sort of shopping row. I mean, just think of the tourism. If we were to develop some waterfront, the NCC forbids that, of course. The only access you have to waterfront in this town is if you're on a bicycle, of course. Bikes rule in this. I don't understand why. Okay, so here's Chrissy. She's like, Canal Ritz. Yep, there's one. The Canal Ritz, you can actually, yes, you can. You can sit by the canal. And Dow's Lake. Yep, there you go. So both of those, for the sake of argument, they're both on the canal. Awesome. Now, can you name a restaurant that you can go and sit at and look out onto the Ottawa River? There's probably a couple on the Gatineau side, but I would challenge you that they're not actually on the waterfront. They're on the street that runs parallel. All right, Craig's in. The Ritz Cafe, the 2 at Dow's Lake, and the NAC. So that's 4, Craig. I love that they're the 2 at Dow's Lake. Yeah, I couldn't tell you that. Well, I should be able to tell you the name of the one that's, I've not been to it, but it looks fantastic at Dow's Lake. It's been there for ages too. But see, I think Dow's Lake, instantly I'm thinking of O'Toole's, which probably dates me. There you go. The Old Mill Restaurant is on the Ottawa River. Yes. Okay, so there's that. What's it called now? Oh, it's a brewery. It's damn it. Yep. Leave it to me to start talking about the geography of our city. I couldn't name it. But I've sat on the patio there. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's the Old Mill Restaurant. Fantastic. Mexicali Roses at Dow's Lake. Yep, there's that. Laho or something at Dow's Lake, says Lizzie. Yeah, something like that. They've done some, since Yuck Yucks had lost their location. That's a whole story unto itself. They've done a few nights at, it's not called Laho, but yeah, it's something like that, Lizzie. You're right. But you see what I'm saying? Like, we're challenged to find 5 restaurants that we can name that would be on waterfront in a city of 1 million people. with 3 rivers and a canal running through it. We just can't go and do this. I would love to see the waterfront developed. Anyway, I digress. So there you go. Those are the conversations for this morning. Your tattoos, thank you for the stories on those. Amazing. Didn't get a whole lot of feedback on GG's versus Ravens tomorrow at TD Place. Are you nervous that this could go, well, pardon the pun, off the rails again? If you're the police chief, what are you doing right now to prepare yourself for tomorrow? And what could be another shit show, for lack of a better word. And I started talking about this a little bit on Monday, and my mind kind of wandered a little bit. But when it comes to this whole university crowd thing, it's happening here. It's happening in Kingston, Queen's University students. And we've had, like in Kingston, we've had to bring in police departments from Toronto, Brockville, Ottawa was down there for a little bit just to try and control some of these crowds. And they're defying the police. They're just like, yeah, go ahead and arrest me. Go ahead. And the universities, the argument is, well, this isn't happening at the university. This is happening, in Student Row. It's private housing. They're paying rent there. They, like anybody else, have a right to, do whatever they want on their property, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But is this not akin to, let's say, your employment situation? Okay, and your employer holds you to some standards. You represent their company, right? No matter how you feel about that, there's an employee code of conduct, by and large, at a lot of companies. If you're a student at the university, should there not be a student code of conduct? Whereby, if you are not representing the university properly or to our satisfaction, or if you're up to, criminal activity, flipping cars, etc., you're gone from the school. And you're not admitted back into any university in the province. I mean, should we be looking at something like that? I mean, some of these students are so, they're so blissfully unaware, and I get it. You're young. You think you got the world by the nuts. We've all been there. We've all done that, but they seem to be running amok, and they're not afraid of any consequences. Like a $2,000 fine, they don't even bat an eye at that in some cases. They laugh at it. They hold it as a badge of honor. It's crazy. So, yeah, Lizzie's saying, yes, expelled. Money might help, especially if mommy and daddy are paying. I agree. I think that really needs to be something that the universities take a long, hard look at. But here's the argument that the universities and even colleges will put back to you. Yeah, but we need X number of students in the university or registered in this course or whatever else in order to get our funding. If we don't have the students, we don't make the money. I'm not suggesting we don't keep their money. I mean, how many stories do you read in the newspaper now whereby, somebody's been caught speeding like 159 kilometers an hour in a 60 zone? I think I saw that at a Renfrew the other day. The car is impounded for 2 weeks. You're still making payments on it. It's not like the payments go away. I would say that those are, hey, here's your acceptance letter, sign here, and these are the rules. There's a code of conduct. As a member of our university, we expect you to be this kind of upstanding person, and these are the standards that we put forth for our university, and this is what's expected of you. And if you don't adhere to these, we keep your money. You go home, and another student who wanted that position at the university, they take your place. We all know students who tried to get into a program and couldn't. I mean, is that a solution? It's pretty harsh. And by the way, I don't buy into this whole, well, just cancel the football games. That'll solve everything. Cancel the football games. Well, no. Why? Why cancel the football game? That makes no sense to me. Lizzie says these generations have their mindset that they are owed mentality. They need a reality check. I get a little taste of that here and there. I don't have kids, Lizzie, but anytime I talk to people who work in restaurants or retail, etc., and they're working with the 20-somethings, even into the 30-somethings, I hear that a lot. The stuff, Ken, but John, that's not fair. That's exactly it. Like, oh, I can't come into work today. I have a headache. Meanwhile, the employee who's, in their 50s or whatever else, they're picking up the slack. They're hauling in all the merchandise. They're dragging the merchandise out to people's cars. But the 20-something-year-old, oh, I didn't sleep well last night. I can't be there. I would love. Okay, so I haven't been employed at a company. I've been self-employed now for the better part of 6 years. But let's go back 15 years, 10 years. Calling my employer. I can't make it in to do my show today. I didn't sleep well last night. Oh my God. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Oh, okay. Well, once you're caught up on some rest, why don't you come in and we'll have a meeting? But you're right. This is where we're at now. And we seem to be like, oh, okay, and just brushing it off. Like, are there not consequences anymore to, like, is there not something we can do? Like some sort of rude awakening? Yeah, the sense of entitlement is crazy. And we got into this a little while ago on the Will Green Show that, is this all part and parcel? And is it due to the fact that, like, you look at our leadership? Look at, we've got a prime minister who lies, who sits there and says, allegedly lies. I'm sorry, Mr. Prime Minister, allegedly lies. Claims to, his office puts out a full agenda. Here's all the meetings the Prime Minister's got today. Oh, he'll be on the phone with this Aboriginal leader, that Aboriginal leader. No, he's surfing in Tofino. And then he denies that was him. Like, I mean, let's not even get into, what we just witnessed in the States a little while ago and the circus that's there and the lies and the alternate facts and things like that. But I mean, this is what this generation sees. How many consequences do they see for this kind of stuff? They don't. So it leaves us in a pretty strange position. What do we do? I don't know. Don't cancel the games, Linda says. Tell young adults to stop acting like complete entitled morons. No, you tell them. I don't want to tell them. A lot of them are armed, frankly. And they're bigger and faster than I am, too. Breaking news, by the way. Pope Francis is coming to Canada. Speaking of the Indigenous schools scandal, he is making his way to Canada in the next little bit, and hopefully that can offer some comfort to a lot of folks who need it. So there you go. Oh, Melanie posting that at the same time I am. Melanie must have the Apple News app just like I do because it came in at exactly the same time. Angela says, it's crazy how the kids here cannot work. I have a list of what days all our kids can and cannot work for when I make their schedules. Yeah. Like I said, Angela, I'm seeing and hearing that a lot from people who, like in the restaurant industry, the retail industry. Yeah, I can't work. I can't work Wednesdays because I have hockey practice till 10:30. So it's too fast to turn around. It's crazy. All I'm saying, and I know, when it comes out of my mouth, I hear my parents' voice. When I was a kid, right? But it's true. When I was a kid, I mowed lawns, I babysat, I blacktop driveways, I shoveled driveways, I hustled, I raked leaves, I worked at McDonald's, I had a paper route, I hustled. I learned the value of $1. Like, I couldn't find a kid to rake leaves in my neighborhood if I tried. Shovel my driveway, mow my lawn. I could dangle $100 bill off the tip of my nose, and my lawn would take you maybe 10 minutes to do, front and back. They'd laugh at me. Oh, I didn't sleep well last night. Oh. Angela adds, the parents seem to be all okay about this. We've had the parents be the one to call in and say their kid can't work. Are you kidding me? Hi, Johnny can't work today. He broke his fingernail. It's very sore. So sorry. Please don't fire him. He's a good boy, really. Linda says, my husband's happy not to be a manager anymore. He said it was more of a babysitting job. The young ones don't give a shit. They have zero work ethic. I mean, I know that every generation has said that. But it's glaringly obvious now. I mean, walk into any place. Try and get the attention of, and they don't care. They have no vested interest in the business whatsoever. They don't care that that you're upset because they're on their phone texting or on Tinder or whatever else. They don't care. Call my owner, whatever. I mean, it's a supply and demand situation now too, right? We need workers. There's not enough people willing to even take the job. So when you do find someone who's willing to at least be in your store and create the illusion that you're, running a fully functional business, keep that employee. Lizzie says, worked with a broken knee for 17 months, even though it was a desk job, still was not comfortable. Would this generation do that? Hell no. Hell no. I told the person that does the hiring to stop hiring hockey players. There you go. Barn chores at 5 a.m. Don't tell me the kids are busy. They just don't want to work. At 5 a.m., Kelly. Oh, it's too early. Linda adds, yeah, they show up with their pants half off, shirt wrinkled. I mean, we are sounding like our parents. You know that, right? We are, but something's changed. And is that born of this whole, like I said, there are no consequences. And all the quote unquote leaders that young people today look at, there's no consequences for them either. I mean, this whole conversation about people are afraid of the police. And look, I understand in some communities, that's justified based on experiences that they've had. But this whole, let's remove police from the schools because it's scaring kids. Well, I mean, the police were in the schools when we were kids. Now, they weren't parked there. They weren't there every single day. But there was a community constable came into the schools on a regular basis. They taught us a healthy respect. The other thing, too, I remember, I don't know if it's different now. The only time I've seen a police car now I live in a court, but the only time I've seen a police car on my court is, when I've needed them here. That's it. A couple times they've shown up to do a mental wellness check. By the way, did you know that the police department does mental wellness checks? If you're concerned about someone and their mental well-being, you can call the police and say, I'm concerned about, and they've got specially trained officers who will show up. They're fantastic, by the way. They're fantastic. I'm not even embarrassed to say that, somebody read something that I posted and was concerned enough to call. Thank you for calling. But when I was a kid, yeah, cops would, be on the street at least once a month. And they just roll down the window. How you guys doing? What's going on? How are things? It was just community building. I don't see any of that anymore. Now, I can't speak to what's going on in the schools and what that relationship is like, but I mean, pull the police away from the schools because it's scaring people? That just doesn't add up in my mind. I don't understand it. Jenny asks, does anybody remember delivering the penny saver? That was my first job. I do, Jenny. I do. and what was the community newspaper in Nepean? I delivered that as well for a while. Buddy of mine, a couple doors down, he had the Globe and Mail route, but when he would go on holidays with his family, I would take over the Globe and Mail route. Delivered the Ottawa Citizen for a little bit. Flyers. Oh gosh, yes, the flyers. But yeah, I was telling Lowell about what was the Clarion in Nepean. That's what I used to deliver. The Clarion. That's what it was called. But I was telling Lowell not too long ago about, right up, actually leading up to the election, there was a number of reports of campaign signs being like dumped in a forest. Like you hire somebody to put the campaign signs in the ground for you, and there's like, to hell with it. Or the signs get pulled, allegedly, and chucked into a forest. I'm like, I used to do that when I didn't really want to deliver the newspapers. I'd throw them down the creek. He's like, yeah, I owned that for a while. So I just confessed to my boss, basically. Yeah, I took your money and didn't do the work. Here I am pooping on the new generation of kids, and I'm guilty of that too. One time I had an employee call me and say that she couldn't come into work that day because her best friend's mom had died. Okay, no problem. I went to see Keith Urban that night at Blues Fest, and I was waiting for someone at the gate. Guess who I ran into at the gate? Yup, her. She looked like she saw a ghost. An agent from the office saw her earlier that day at the LCBO in Kempville. I mean, that's a pretty extreme lie. I mean, my mom died. You can only go to that once, right? Like, you don't get a second chance on that one. So, yeah. The Milkman and the Paperboy. There you go. That was me. Jenny says, I remember my mom telling me that she had nuns at her school as kids too. Yeah, I mean, there were consequences. I mean, I grew up with a healthy, not fear of police, but a respect for police. And maybe this is why kids don't have that respect for the police anymore. Again, I mean, how many stories do you read about some just like heinous crime and someone's found guilty and the punishment, you scratch your head. That's all they get? I mean, my God. Never mind. I want a permanent criminal record. Like that it just doesn't seem to scare anybody anymore. Anyway, round and around and around and around and around and around and around it all goes. So there you go. Pope coming to Canada. We've got the GGs and the Ravens tomorrow. Fingers crossed that. Where are the leaders within the university? Where are the student leaders within the university who are being proactive and saying, you know what, we are better than this. We can do better than this. I hope they've got some sort of, I mean, does that even exist in the school system anymore? Are there leaders who can stand up and get the attention of the students? I would be so excited to champion someone who's standing up and at least trying to encourage students to, you know what, this is not, when you wear the University of Ottawa or the Carleton U logo or name on your shirt, on your jacket, on your school bag, you want people to look at that and smile and, think what an awesome group of people this is. I hope that conversation's happening in and amongst the students that, you know what, tomorrow we have an opportunity to do better with this. Do better how? I don't know. Maybe walk by somebody's house and instead of pissing on their lawn, weed the garden for them. I don't know. Instead of destroying someone's car, slap a BTR bumper sticker on it for me. Oh, the other story that came across, this is an interesting one. We've only got a couple minutes left here. My daughter and her university roommates wrote and signed a conduct agreement amongst themselves. Is that a sorority thing, Kelly? That strikes me as something that a sorority would do, and I applaud that. And more of that, please. So And maybe we'll begin this. We'll end the show with this, but we'll pick it up here tomorrow. Why are Canadians so prone to going to the same old companies? Like, we hear a lot about this during the pandemic. Why do people keep going to Costco? What is it about Costco? There is nothing, as far as I can tell, that Costco can sell you that you cannot get somewhere else. And yet, in the middle of a pandemic, are we getting our meats at the local butcher shop? Are we going there instead? No, we're lining up at Costco. And I get the convenience of it. And that, yes, I mean, by and large, things are discounted. But we're like these little robots. We just keep going back to these same old places. So the same thing seems to be true when it comes to internet providers, TV providers, cell phone providers. By and large, people talk about Bell, Rogers, occasionally Cogeco, but Bell, Rogers. Why do we not look to some of the smaller independents out there? What is it that scares people about, like, my internet's with Tech Savvy? I can't say enough good things about them. I'm not trying to take away from Rogers and Bell, who have all kinds of other sub-brands, by the way. But what scares you about looking at a company like a Tech Savvy, for example, for your internet or your TV service? And I say this because my cell phone service is with Videotron. Being in Ottawa, in our proximity to Quebec, we have got kiosks for Videotron. It's a whole other carrier available to us just by virtue of our geography. And I mean, I've told this story before. Every single time I try and spend more money with Videotron, they don't let me. Every single time I pick up I want to add a line. I want to, I want to add more data. I save money every single time. Anyway, Videotron has just made a significant investment. They say that they are about to enter Western Canada, Alberta, Manitoba, and that them being a player could result in a 15 to 30% drop in prices for the customer. How about that? That's worth taking a look at, by the way. James says DSL from Tech Savvy is from Bell and cable internet is from Rogers. No, well, yes and no, James, and that's not a necessarily fair. So, and this has been a long argument from the bigs. So Bell, Rogers, and I kind of side with them on this. They have invested in the infrastructure. They're the ones that ran the wires and built the hubs, etc. And they've been mandated by the CRTC that they must make a certain portion of what they've built available to companies like Tech Savvy. So Tech Savvy, in some areas, companies like Tech Savvy, and there's other companies as well, they've invested in some infrastructure. But you're telling me that I've built, okay, so you build a restaurant, and now the rule is you need to make certain square footage of your restaurant available to a competing restaurant? That's a head scratcher to me. I don't get that. But yeah, so I mean, yes, my Tech Savvy, it's coming in on a line that was installed by Rogers. And if there's something wrong with the line or the hub, Tech Savvy as a bulk buyer, they're basically the end user. They have to call Rogers and say, please repair the line. Tech Savvy does not have the facility to do that. But James, I am not paying Bell. I am not paying Rogers. My service is with Tech Savvy. However they decide to get that service to me, I don't care. That's up to them. They're not the ones that I send my payment to every single month. Jenny agreeing that Videotron is awesome. Yeah. So here's my story on Videotron. I looked at them because I heard that they were reliable. And basically, so they've got reciprocal agreements with Bell, with Rogers, with TELUS, etc. So that if you're a Bell customer, Rogers customer, TELUS customer, and you're in Quebec, by and large, the infrastructure there was built by Videotron. Not exclusively, but by and large, depending on where you are, you could very well be in an area where there's only a Videotron tower. No problem. We'll allow you onto the Videotron tower just as if it was your own. And the reciprocal agreement is, like when I'm in New Brunswick, for example, the only tower that exists is a bell tower. My Videotron phone works just fine. Doesn't cost me anything extra. They do throttle my data. I discovered that. Even though Videotron says that they're not going to throttle my data, I'm not on a Videotron tower, so they have no control over that. Anyway, but I've really had good experiences with them. So yeah, I've got my phone originally, unlimited calling Canada-wide, voicemail, the whole 9 yards, 6 gigs of data. I got 2 phones. It was $112.89 for the 2 lines with that. And then after 3 months of being with them, they added an extra gig of data. I called them when I was in New Brunswick saying, I see you've got an offer right now for 20 gigs of data, $50 a month. And they said, oh, yeah, but if you go with that plan, then you lose this discount, this discount, this discount. But we can give you that data on your existing plan, and it'll actually cost you 13 cents less per month. Okay. Oh, by the way, thanks for being a Videotron customer. If you'd like a talk and text line only, they call it a student line, you can have 2 extra lines for free. What? So the BTR request line, guess what? It's a free line that I got for being a customer with them. And on and on and on it goes. I called them, I said, I do want that, 50 gigs of data or 20 gigs of data, pardon me, for $50 on another cell phone. And that's what we use when we're live on location. That's what we use as our mobile hotspot. And I still spend less than $200 a month on my cell phone service. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. They're fabulous. Like I said, every single time I call them and try and spend more money, they don't let me. It's pretty hilarious. And a couple of conversations on the go there. Thank you so much for being part of it. It's a little thing we call, let me just say this about that. And I do it every single weekday from 9 until, whenever I feel it's appropriate to wrap up the conversation. If you missed this, no problem. Go back. You'll find the video on Facebook, on Twitch, etc. And it's also available as a podcast. Wherever you get your podcast, just look for Let Me Just Say This About That. And it's available to you. If you forget what that's called, no problem. Just go to milkmanshow.com. Hope you'll stick with me on blasttheradio.com and on Twitch, because we've got some kick-ass music on the way to get you to noon and Rusty's Good Time Oldies. Move for now.